we are with our revamped and revitalized look on how to play each of the elements in Empires of Aether. This video is going to take a look at the Arcane Nation, one of the most unique play styles in the game. You don't have abilities, you have spells. And to obtain your spells, you have to accomplish many objectives, aka little miniature quests in the game in order to access very, very powerful abilities. But that being said, whereas you start with no abilities, you do access most of your abilities fairly early on and get a little bit of an edge on your opponents. However, you are susceptible to very early aggression because your soldiers are much more expensive, because your soldiers aren't soldiers at all. They're apprentices in the arcane arts and are very powerful. Let's take a look at their abilities and how they tackle the board. The Arcane Nation is not for someone who is brand new to Empires of Aether because they play in a totally unique way. They have one of the weakest early turns in the entire game. However, have a very early pop-off in terms of when they hit their ceiling. However, in the late game, they are one big advantage card or one play away from losing their entire strategy. Their soldiers aren't soldiers at all. They're more expensive, and you can see there's a lot of text on this card, but let's whittle it down for you. They don't have soldiers. They have apprentices. And these apprentices are more expensive. However, they have a flat combat value. In fact, these are the first units in the game to have that no RNG aspect to it. That's one of the benefits of Arcane is there's no RNG. You know what you're going to have in battle. And so there are some effects that you can dodge, but that also means there's some effects you're going to miss out on. And so they are able to discard advantage cards from their hand in order to get a free resource building. That doesn't sound too powerful, but they are a pretty economic nation. They need a lot of building materials to get off the ground. You're going to find that you've got a lot of surplus food, and you're not able to spend it because you don't have the building materials to back it up. Your first apprentice costs 3 and 3, 3 food, 3 BM, and then every apprentice after that costs 5 and 5. Very expensive, but you can be pretty aggressive with those early on because you're going to be more aggressive than most nations in the opening turns. But that does leave you very susceptible to the most aggressive nations such as Glacier, Lightning, and Fire because they can actually match your power and beat you most likely. What's also unique about them is they don't have tiers. You get all of your spells and abilities based on when you complete the condition that's at the top of the card. It's like a miniature quest, if you will. And so, their quest is to simply use all of their spells. And so, every other element in the game gets 9 cards at their disposal, with their quest included. Arcane is no different. You get your quest and 8 other spells at your disposal, and there's not too many poor combinations. The only one that I can really conceive that would be poor is if you're going up against 4 newer elements, well then why the heck would you take one of the original element cards? You're not going to do that. And so this card wouldn't be used if Fire, Earth, Air, or Water is not in the game. But aside from that, you can really take your pick of anything. And so what are we going to do? Well, one of the other benefits of Arcane is that we don't actually need barracks. Our defensive fortifications are our barracks, and they're called Mage Towers. And that is where we spawn our apprentices. We can only spawn 1 there per turn, but the reason why that is okay is because the main ability that we're going to seek to exploit in the opening moves is Arcane Shift. Once we purchase 2 Mage Towers, and we do start with 1 on our capital, however, you have to purchase 2, you have to buy 2, we can then teleport from any tower to any tower. Our wizard included, our general included, and that doesn't count as their movement, but they can't attack if that's what you're going to get. In addition, you can also place a free mage tower there as well. So you've got 1 on your capital, you've paid for 2, and then you get a free 1. So you have 4, and you're hoping to do this by turn 2 if you're starting at an earlier resource count, because they do cost 5 building materials apiece. But this is one of your central abilities in how you stay relevant in the mid to late game if one of your big plays is cut off. Aside from that, you've got a lot of utility cards that are really, really good at stifling attacks or excelling your own position on the board. For example, if I've got 3 fields, 3 swamps, it doesn't matter. I'm going to take this ability because this is going to help me get to the mid to late game and buy more apprentices and be more relevant. Because once I get a few apprentices on the board and I get access to my most powerful abilities, which is Arcane Circle and Arcane Missiles, well then I can do anything. I can take on any boss, I can really go at any opponent. The only thing that can stop me is a Dragon's Lair, or perhaps a Blizzard being dropped on top of me. There's any nuke ability that eliminates a large amount of units is going to be tough. Poison is a tough matchup here, because Poison can eliminate a lot of units, and because our units are expensive, it's rough out here for the Arcane Nation. But we've got abilities that increase our general's bonus. We can get advantage cards that have already been played this game. We get duplication spell, which is absolutely necessary for our early game strategies. We want resource buildings on every tile. And remember, you can discard advantage cards to put a resource building down. And the reason why that's relevant is any card that is meant to discount the cost of soldiers, we can't use because we don't have soldiers. We have apprentices. And so that card is not useless because we can discard it for a resource building. So there's a lot of really, really solid combinations, but I think Arcane excels at they can accomplish their quests. I was doing this the other day, actually, and I had all of my spells completed by turn 6. The only tricky one is if no one wants to attack you. Arcane Circle is one of your most powerful abilities, but the quest that you have to do to get it is you have to lose a tile to battle. That is sort of the counter to Arcane, is you don't attack them back. Because if they can't accomplish all of their spells, well, then they can't get their quest. They will struggle to achieve 2 win conditions on their own, but just 1 win condition along with their quest, very feasible for a very underrated Arcane nation. But you gotta be careful when you play them. Wizards.